I think we can all clearly see the new world that has emerged. This new world is showing up at an unprecedented rate. Things are coming at us faster than ever before. And now, if you've been exposed to a lockdown, it's essentially changing how we look around, how we look at our peers, our family, our friends. Hello and welcome on this inaugural day. Scopic coming to you in a more verbally acoustic sort of way. My name is Andrew Scopic. Welcome to Your Ultimate Self. And I'm stuck, and maybe you can help me get unstuck. I like to help people get unstuck, but I'm stuck right now. There's so many podcasts out there. There's just so many podcasts. Which one to choose? Why choose it? Do I stick to this one? Do I stick to that one? There's only so much time in the day. Which one's going to help me find my way in business, in life, in relationships, in health? Fill in the blanks. There are so many amazing podcasts out there, and there are a lot of podcasts that are, well, just podcasts. And so the question then becomes, why is your ultimate self different? Well, answer that question. What is it about your ultimate self that sets the tone for your life? Who is the ultimate self? Why is it important? Why is the ultimate self something you can turn to in a situation and come out stronger, leaner, and meaner, and a whole lot greener? Let's make this happen. Your ultimate self, if you're wondering right now, why am I stuck? What do I do to feel better about myself? Why aren't I more confident? What if I were to take this risk and ask this guy or girl out? What happens if it doesn't work out? If I want to better market myself to the world, does that even work? What does that look like? How do I show up better at home? How do I level up my value, my contribution so the world beats a fat path to your door? It's time to score. Scopic is here to welcome you to your ultimate self. And ultimately, here's the thing. I think we can all clearly see the new world that has emerged. This new world is showing up at an unprecedented rate. Things are coming at us faster than ever before. And now, if you've been exposed to a lockdown, it's essentially changing how we look around, how we look at our peers, our family, our friends, how we look to the future with certainty and confidence or lack thereof. So your ultimate self, it's time for a new you, because unfortunately that new world has arrived and requires a new view. And at the end of the day, your ultimate self is here to support the growth that's needed the most at a time that's unprecedented to mankind. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's have a seat. I mean, just literally pour yourself, what is that, a tea? Yeah, is that tea and honey? Nice. What kind of tea? Perfect. Is it unpasteurized honey? It better be. What about that hot chocolate? Ooh, better have some medicinal mushrooms in there. Have a seat, relax, put your feet up, because I know for certain that you work hard, that you give it your best every day, that you really do put yourself out there in the most obvious way and sometimes not so obvious. Maybe you wish you mattered more. Wish you could walk down, the brick road and have a little more swagger like Mick Jagger. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, why are you here? Why are you still listening? I mean, we are essentially almost at the 4-minute mark here, and I have probably given you multiple reasons to turn this off. Stop listening. You can go back to what you were doing. There's probably many things you should be doing that are going to be more important in this show, but I'll tell you what if we could tune in to our highest self, that version of you that's trying to seep through, and instead of it being years and years and years away from showing up, what if it could, come a little earlier? Show up a little sooner. Feel like you got that focus back. Scopic knows a thing or two about being focused, because Scopic wasn't always focused, but now focus is Scopic. And so at the end of the day, right? at the end of the day, what is it that matters most to you coming through on your ultimate self? What is it that you want? Because without a clear definition of your dreams, your desires, what's fueling you, what's feeding you, what are you moving into, without being clear on those aspects, it's almost pointless. And the distinction is, who is your ultimate self, and how is that going to change that for me? Well, here's the thing. Let's take a quick trip to our bedroom. Wake up first thing in the morning. If you were to describe how the superhero version of your ultimate self wakes up in the morning, how do they wake up? Do they roll over, hit the snooze button once, twice, maybe 6 times? No, definitely not, because that would be the snooze self. That would be maybe the lose on your dream self. But that's okay. I used to snooze too, quite a bit, probably even more than you. At the end of the day, when you get up, do you stand up and salute what's about to go up? Most people, unfortunately, don't get up, don't stretch to the sky, don't make their bed, right? Even the science of literally making your bed puts the keys into the ignition of the ultimate power car, your ultimate self, to take on that day, to take on that week. And ultimately, this new world, well, here's the thing. Unfortunately, it's going to require more of you, not less than you, not what you feel like, and not what your preferences are. It requires more. And I'm going to show you right to the door to tell you, you don't have to snore on lessons like this. It doesn't have to be painful, right? It doesn't have to be mainful like my line over here. Hold on a sec for those checking this. Oh my goodness, what is he doing? Because here's the thing. It's time to ding-a-ling, wake up your dreams again. It's time to, wake up your relationships again. Maybe wake up some of those habits. Start to feel alive again. How many people are wandering aimlessly? How many people are wandering adrift right now? How many people feel like they've lost their spirit? They've lost their connection. They feel broken, hurt, frustrated, overwhelmed, tired, painful, unsure, anxious, angry, optimistic. Oh, never mind, pessimistic. Sorry, that was definitely not optimism. I thought it was for a minute. It sank right back down. And so here's the thing. We're gathered here today to come together because, unfortunately, if you want to drive to warm weather, you're going to have to put in the kilometers. You're going to have to get in the driver's seat and make this happen. And you're not doing it alone. I just want you to know right now in this new world, obviously, getting around each other, one another, it's it's not really possible the same way it once was. And will that change? Yeah, absolutely. Will there become a day where it feels like kind of getting your mojo back? Yeah, absolutely. But in the meantime, what have you put on the shelf? And I'm not talking that shelf help book that you've put there and you might want to dust it off. Yeah, there's a little bit of dust on it because you got that whole row there. It's all dusty. Now, here's the thing. It's time to dust off your dreams and start to imagine and envision what it would be like to live again, live free, live openly, live excitedly, live passionately, compassionately, and a whole bunch of lively. You feel me? All right, let's go. So, your ultimate self. I honestly don't have a script here. There seems to be something coming through me, and I apologize if I offend thee. But at the end of the day, let's do it the old fashioned way. Let's start with you. Right now, I want you to write down on a piece of paper. What? He's giving us homework? It's the first session. He wants to introduce him. One piece of paper and a pen. Go grab it. You can put me on hold. Go for it. Let me know when you're back. Okay, perfect. Here we go. And I want you to write down one word that you would love to best define you. Someone you would love to be in the future. Just a word, even a description if you want to go a couple steps further, but one word will do it. Maybe right now you're not quite sure because again you've been focused on dodging bullets and knives that are being tossed your way and oh, Molotov cocktail as well, great, gotta run. And so you haven't thought clearly about who you need to be, who you want to be, how you want to feel. But I can tell you this is the real deal. One word, write it, characterize it, describe it, who you're going to be. Who do you want to be? Who do you need to be? Because it's plain to see that I'm not DJ Run DMC and nor am I, an MC Scopic. But I am here to tell you that one word will literally determine the direction you head in your future or don't head in your future. Because the things up till now, the actions you've taken and not taken, have literally defined who you are and who you're not. And what's the best part about this is your ultimate self is here to tell you you didn't miss the party. We're just getting started, right? You have more time than you realize, but that doesn't mean that we waste it. It's time to honor it. It's time to invest our best self in it. And so, what is that one word that describes your ultimate self? Stepping into the ring, knocking out that dingaling at work. I don't condone violence, believe you me. But maybe you knock them out with a little kindness or compassion. You're walking to the office or, you're stepping into a virtual meeting and there's that person. Oh my gosh, they make my blood boil. They make my blood boil. What do I do? What do I do? Well, number one, define your best self, because how you define your best self in any situation in life literally decides and helps you define the thinking, the behavior, the emotions, the actions you take and don't take, and literally determine and anticipate what you create and co-create with others, because that's most important. So ask yourself right now, who am I going to be in that situation? Because maybe right now you're dealing with something and, I don't need to spend this first episode talking about your ultimate self, how great it's going to be, how amazing, as you can clearly, plainly see, it's not for everybody. But what is for everybody, unfortunately, at different times in your life, you'll be confronted with this knife or slice where it feels like you just got hit in the side or you just got your air taken out of your balloon and you weren't expecting it. You weren't ready for it. Why weren't you? What's going on there? What happened? And I feel for you because I know each of us have our own fair share of struggles, challenges, problems, opportunities. But as you know, it's not what happens, it's what you do with what happens. So let's get it clapping. And I don't mean like that for all you um, that enjoy gangster rap. I have had many a share of lyric myself and appreciate it, but I get it clapping. I mean like standing ovation style, all right? Because your ultimate self is here to take it up a notch. What is your ultimate self? Your ultimate self is you. In any given moment, when you rise above the occasion, right? When you give yourself a standing ovation for a job well done, right? What is your ultimate self? It's that feeling. It's the thinking, it's the emotions, it's the creativity, it's the nuance, it's being able to bounce off of situations instead of sticking to them like a sticky hand. Did that come through? Because if you're a bouncy ball, guess what? Boom, no worries. Oh, yeah, you know what? Doesn't work for you? Okay, all good. Thanks so much. Moving on. Because here's the thing, most people, they care too much about the wrong things. They care too much about the wrong things. What does that even mean? At the end of the day, if somebody doesn't want to work with you, live with you, love with you, hang out with you, something's not jiving, is it really up to us to resist that and get pissed at that? Or is it time for you to just feel a little more sublime in who you are? Step back into how you should feel in that moment, regardless of the pressure that's on you, that's paramount and flowing through you. At the end of the day, your ultimate self, well, that's you. And in any given situation, you can decide or not decide. How's this going to go right now? How's this going to feel if I continue to pursue this and I renew into this? You know, I'm thinking back to probably the first major epic. Yeah, I use the word epic once in a while. Epic time when the ultimate self came through was in high school. And I'm thinking back to grade 10. Yeah, grade 10. And just remember having my hat taken. Laughs were also thrown. A little bit of bullying and picking on. It was light. No one ever laid a hand. But nonetheless, for those of you that have felt emotionally made fun of or poked at, we've all been there. But here's what happened: there was an opportunity to get even with these individuals, and I decided not to. Now, some would say, well, maybe he didn't have the courage to. Well, no, I've never been the one to play get even. I just get better. Frank Sinatra, greatest form of revenge is massive success. So, guess what I did in grade 10? I started to honor myself. I started to realize, hey, am I really paying attention in class and putting my skills to the test? You know, am I really giving my all in phys ed, or am I, kind of hobbling a bit? Like I'm really just putting a little bit into it. And I started to realize that every single opportunity became a test. Every day, every action. I started to look at my teachers as friends, and my most influential relationships grew out of high school. People that challenged me, pushed me, upset me at times until I figured out that it was just a lesson in disguise. And I'll tell you, coming through about a year after that, those incidences, I don't even know if that's plural or not, but it sounds good. Let's keep it. Do not edit incidences out. Leave it. That I discovered my body had grown immensely. I had sizably well developed and sculpted muscles of a sort and variety, including the kind of arms that belong on the side of a tank. And I was doing it naturally. My mom was a nutritionist. I was eating well. There were no, uppers, anything crazy like that. That's your choice. It's fine. Just be good to others and don't put others in harm's way. And I had these same bullies, we'll just call them that, actually approached me in the locker room one day. We're in our underwear. I'm drinking a shake, mean and lean and just a fighting machine, doing my thing. And one of the guys came up and asked, "What is that in your cup? What is that in your shaker cup?" And I said, "Why? Who's interested?" He said, "Oh, I just want to know what you're drinking. Can I try some?" And my response could have been my fist into his face for some of the feelings and the hate that this was bringing up. But instead, I said in front of the entire group, "Oh, I'm good enough to talk to now and see what's in my shake. Why? Because of this? But what was going on a year ago? What was it about that determined how you treated me?" And by the way, it didn't sound this epic and this sort of from the stage, but ultimately, I made a decision to just show up and blow up. And not only did those guys, we'll call them, go on to have, genuinely friendly and honest relationships with me, but even the gals who didn't look my way, they sure flocked my way. And am I bragging? No, no, my pants aren't sagging. I'm just saying the truth that sometimes you got to step into your own booth and grow those roots. We got to dig a little deeper. What's going on right now? What's not happening? What can I do to make something happen? And I went on to really experience some great things. But that moment, I discovered there was another version of me, that I wasn't having an aversion to me, that I wasn't being repulsed by life. And your ultimate self, well, it is self expression. It is thinking about, feeling, acting towards the version of the person that you'd love to be. And in every situation, literally has the opportunity. Do I stay looking at social media? Do I get to that task that my boss, my manager, anyone else needs of me? Hey, I'm an entrepreneur and there is no boss manager. That's me. Well, except for maybe your wife or maybe your kids or your parents if they're still all over you. And so the question then becomes, what are you doing with that time and why aren't you moving forward? How are you showing up over there? And that relationship where you could easily ask yourself, hey, I should be paid more, but you're waiting for somebody to pay you first before you show up and add value at a level that's over and above what you're actually paid for. There is so many opportunities, literally from hanging out with family to showing up at work to going online to being out in public, and how you show up. Your ultimate self is here to help define those principles, those characteristics, the examples, the stories, and on this show, week after week, we are going to bring you motivation. We're going to help you give yourself a standing ovation. We're going to bring you inspirational stories, not the kind of stories that you want to, tuck yourself into. Sorry, we're just connecting to my ultimate self. Here we go. And so the key here is to bring those inspirational stories, the tips, the strategies, and even opportunities to showcase talents, examples, case studies of those individuals representing their ultimate self. People that have come up from challenge and struggle, an opportunity to step up and say, hey, what did you do in that situation? How'd that go? What were you feeling? What were you thinking? What weren't you thinking? What weren't you focused on? And at the end of the day, you have a choice. Every single moment is a choice. And your ultimate self is here to bring you the tools, the steps, the examples, the role modeling, the mentoring. Ask questions, lead into it, breathe into it. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, if you study the world's most successful, well-balanced, healthy, vibrant, passionate, joyful people, there's a set of principles that they follow, characteristics. There's a way they live. Well, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And this is an opportunity to talk about the technology, the science, the data, brain function, neuroscience, physiology, energy, transformation, strategies that will determine a new destination. This is your ultimate self. And if you're with me, let's join together on this march, this journey, because if you look ahead, I'm sure you're fully aware that there's some work to do. This is not a couch kind of ride. This is the one that you buckle up for. You really dig a little deeper. You take it a day at a time. You celebrate maybe with some grapes and wine. But here's the thing. When we move forward, not only are we going to be dropping some serious ultimate truth bombs, but your ultimate selves, as I mentioned, we're going to have guests. We're going to have experts. We're going to have an opportunity for you to call in and showcase your ultimate self and examples of people that were confronted with challenges, obstacles, barriers, demons, not real ones, but internal demons, of course. And they moved forward like a flock of geese, flying with their team or their family, or maybe even solo, right? And if we can step out of our comfort zone and find a way to step into the zone, get into the zone, find our center, well, then it'll be a lot easier to take a trip into warm weather. So ultimately, here what we have. We have a calling, looking for those that feel like there's just got to be more. There's got to be more to this experience. What's really going on? And you won't find me getting all political. That's not what this is about. This is about an opportunity to feel more inspired, to, you know, spark up some motivation, to take on a further, more fulfilling, you know, ovation in the direction that you're ultimately being pulled into. So whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, you have a gift, something you want to share, You're investing in yourself, you're investing in your life, your world, your family. Here is the opportunity, is that if you have another level in you right now, what does that look like? What does that look like? Take a minute, ask yourself, what does that look like if you were to have that next level? Oh, the doorbell just rang. Did you hear that? Go get it. It's not Amazon. And in front of you, as you open the door, is the future version of you looking at you. Just a complete silent stare, 1-to-1. And you're looking at yourself 1 year from now, 1 year from this beginning of your ultimate self. And, for those of you already been on the journey, well done. Let's keep going. Keep it up. Keep moving. But if you looked at yourself and not only took on the visual cue as you walked and approached, what's the body language look like? What's changed? Does the outfit look different? Does the body that adorns the outfit, does that look different? And just imagine sitting down with this version of you 1 year out, and you were to ask your future self 3 questions. What would they be? What would they be? What would you want to learn from your future self? What is it that you really, really know it's time for? Maybe you thought that the lockdown was only going to happen once, or maybe only twice. Maybe you thought that that opportunity was going to turn out, but it didn't. Or that thing, that job, that promotion. You thought that, your business was going to rock and roll, and it just hasn't. It's laid a little flat to the floor. What about your relationships? How have they changed? Have they improved? Have you improved? So as you sit there in front of this ultimate version of yourself, 1 year out, what are those 3 questions? 3 defining questions. And that's the only 3 questions you get. 3 questions. What are they? Write them down. And better yet, turn it around. Who would that person be? Who would that person be? Who would he or she need to be if you were to begin the ultimate voyage to your ultimate self? At the end of the day, nobody can take your permissions away, right? We may feel like those permissions have been removed, but I'm also removed to tell you that nobody can tell you how to think. Nobody can tell you how to act unless you give them permission. And if you decide you want to show up in your ultimate self sitting right in front of you, and you can imagine being in that chair, that being you a year from now, what needs to change? What needs to change? And maybe from the changes you need to make, maybe you can base your questions on that. So if it's health, well, got some weight to lose, or I want to feel, better in the gut, better digestion. What's a question you would ask? And instead, once you've asked that question, now go take it online and start doing some work. Start learning about the things that you need to learn. And we'll answer questions. We'll discuss topics. But at the end of the day, as a free being, as a conscious being, we have a choice how we focus. What are we going to connect to? What's most important for us in this moment? So if you begin to look at your future self and begin defining the characteristics, traits, and personality of that person, what exactly does that look like? What does that now allow us to focus on? To add a little bit of hocus pocus on, a little bit of magic. Poof. Yeah. Digestion. All right, better. What's the first step? And so I'm here to tell you it's possible. It's not only possible, it's probable. And at the end of the day, the yellow brick road has arrived. And you have a choice. You can wait for someone to pick you up. You can wait for permission, or we can put down the superstition and begin our journey to Oz. It is ultimately my pleasure to introduce myself, Andrew Skopik, transformational strategist, high performance coach. It is my ultimate pleasure to have you here, and I look forward to serving you in any capacity that might be, to your best, to your ultimate self.